Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He's an entrepreneur and built a multi award winning company. No other than Mr. Nicholas Clement.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fabulous, fabulous like you, Mr. Nick. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Nick Clement. I'm from Wales in the UK, and I am the founder and owner of Confident Healthy Individuals, also known as Chi Education.
Chi education. What is chi and what is it defined in traditional Eastern philosophies?
Okay, so I'm a primary school teacher, so for children aged 3 to 10, 11. I was teaching for over a decade, left the profession to create a company that I wanted to have specialist teachers deliver specialist projects in schools, but I noticed that children were massively lacking in confidence, confidence to perform, confidence to fail, um, and confidence to speak, to talk out, to read in front of the class. So that's when I created Confident Healthy Individuals. So the idea was to create cross-curricular well-being projects that all had an overarching theme of well-being. So whether that's cognitive brain therapy strategies, whether it's getting children to perform, become more confident in lots of different ways to perform in arts. And then from there, the company is branched off. So we have holiday clubs for children, which are in amazing outdoor locations, affordable holiday clubs, not ridiculously priced. Then we have our books that we've brought out, which is the mindfulness series. And now we are helping teenagers with our mental health first aid style course that we're going to release very soon.
How can the concept of chi be integrated into modern educational practices?
So our philosophy is that we build children who are in a environment and position where they are ready to learn academically. So we're not trying to push children to academically succeed until they are ready. So that's developing a foundation, a strong foundation of the child being content and happy first.
What are the benefits of teaching students about chi and its principles?
So what we've noticed is that children who first are part of one of our projects are very shy, very withdrawn. Some have been extremely upset when we've asked them to perform. We'll never ask a child to perform um, just by themselves. You know, we'll do it in group situations and things like that. But by the time that they're finished with us at the end, then they wanted to perform just solely on their own in front of the entire class. So you can see a massive increase in their confidence.
So, did you wrote a book regarding chi education?
No, no, I haven't, but we do have two books here. So it's the Let's Look Through the Window and Let's Meet Eye the Dragon. There are five books coming in the series. So it's the Mindfulness Adventure series is what they are. And they are a, unusual books in a way because I read the book with my two young boys called Press Here, which is quite an interactive book. I think it's from can't remember his name, somewhere in America. It's a New York best-selling book. So you press different buttons, you do different things to the book, and things happen on the next page. So I thought, surely there must be a way here that we can implement something like this and mindfulness, which I'm a firm believer in, and try and create a fun book that helps calm children. So there's lots of different things you have to do in the pages, like breathing techniques, like mindfulness techniques, for magic to happen on the next page. So, for example, if you blow on the trees in the Let's Look Through the Window book, then all the leaves will fall off the trees on the next page. So you're kind of teaching breathing techniques, but in a nice, fun, playful way.
So, how does understanding chi enhance personal well being and focus in a learning environment?
So if we look at mindfulness, What we are saying is that children now are spending so much time on with technology that they need to take a break, need to be mindful of their surroundings, need to understand breathing techniques just to cope with our modern society that we live in.
So, how can practicing Tai Chi or Qigong improve with students?
Uh, what I believe is that if you have set of strategies. So, for example, if we take breathing techniques, you're far more in control of your emotions. So, I love using cognitive brain therapy strategies, understanding what is actually going on inside my brain. And that helps you understand that you are not your emotions, you're in control of your emotions. You can feel where those emotions are coming from and kind of intercept that emotion to start thinking more logically.
So, what are the connections between Qi education and stress management in students?
Oh, that's a good question. So, we look at anxiety as one of the main things, especially for children who are teenagers, with exams pressure, with social media pressure, the use of technology. So we ex we try and instill in teenagers to be more productive and to have develop a better relationship with social media and to be in more control of their anxiety. So we use lots of breathing techniques, cognitive brain therapy strategies, but again, it's more of an understanding of just what is going on inside your brain, the science, um, and understanding that it is okay, this is going to happen, but you've got to have a toolkit, like a set of strategies to be able to support yourself.
So, how can understanding Qi improve physical health and energy levels for learners?
Yeah, we are massive believers in physical education, physical movement of any kind. We all know the massive benefits of physical exercise on the brain, on the body. So what we do in our projects is that we look at all kind of movement. So whether it's performing arts, whether it's physical education, um, we emphasize physical exercise as much as possible because again, living in the society we are, where it's very technology driven, and in the UK where we've got absolutely rubbish weather, it's very difficult for children to be exercising as much as they should. So here in the UK, the minimum should be 2 hours a week of physical exercise, and we know that is definitely not taking place because of the weather, because of the lack of hall space to use, because of the lack of training with teachers. So we are trying to push the agenda to get children moving as much as possible.
So, what exercise or activities are commonly used in Qi education to cultivate balance?
So we do a variety of different things, gymnastics, football, dance, you name it. We've done it before. But something that what we've noticed that we tend to do more in schools and what schools tend to like is the performing arts type projects. So it's not vigorous exercise, but it's just lots of movements in drama, for example, where we are doing freeze frames, lots of warm-ups and drama games, and just moving. It doesn't have to be very structured. It doesn't have to be games of soccer or football against each other. It's just trying to think, well, how can we get children moving? Because at that age, they shouldn't be sat down for half an hour, 40, 50 minutes. They should be moving as much as possible.
So, how does breathing awareness contribute to Qi development?
So what we say, we got lots of different techniques. So we have one of my favorite ones is the 3-3-1, especially for young children. So it's 3 seconds in through your nose, 3 seconds out through your mouth, because you get cleaner oxygen if you breathe in through your nose, and obviously you're getting rid of carbon dioxide quicker if it's out through your mouth. So what that does is gets more oxygen to the brain and again allows you to start thinking more logically rather than thinking with your emotions. And we do a variety of different ones. And like I said, we've hidden them in the books, so children are doing them without realizing that they're doing them.
So do you think, Mr. Nick, Chi education can be franchised by the public education?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Do you think that Chi education can be franchised by the public education?
Yeah, it is a possibility. We have looked into something similar, so possibly licensing, something that we're working with. So we have Chi Education Publishing, so we can publish our own books. And the idea is to try and get other authors or people who would like to be authors on board with us, that we can help them create a book that they would like to take into schools. And we kind of have the blueprint for those educators or individuals that want to create these books, that we can add in our kind of element, the Chi method, the mindfulness, so then they can use that as well. But we also have our holiday clubs, which again use our method and our theme of delivering cross-curricular wellbeing fun days. So there's a possibility that that could be franchised or licensed in the future as well.
Looking forward for that. So how does Chi education help students connect with their inner selves?
Oh, that's a good question. So going back to cognitive brain therapy strategies, we use the principle of the chimp paradox. So it's by Professor Stephen Peters. So he simply says that he calls a part of the brain the chimp and the other part the human, the memory, and the gremlins. It gets quite complicated. But if we keep it simple, whereas one part is the chimp, one part is the human, that the chimp is 6 times more powerful than the human, and the chimp is irrational. So the chimp tends to think instantly, doesn't think logically, thinks with emotions, and tries to keep you safe. So we'll do things to get you out of situations. So we'll catastrophize and things like that. Whereas the human is the logical thinking, your personality, your beliefs, and your core. And then you have the computer, which is the memory. So what we try and do is get children to think more like the human themselves, rather than that part of their brain, which is the more emotional part, which is again very, very strong. So we use lots of different techniques to be able to control that part of their brain, which is called the chimp, but you can call it other things, the scientific terms for it. Um, so that children are more aware of them not being their emotions.
Not in their emotions. Very well said, Mr. Nick. Very well said. So, what role does she play in fostering emotional intelligence and resilience?
Yeah, I think emotional intelligence is very difficult. It's something that needs to be over a long period of time. Um, so if we were talking about earlier, building a foundation, so somebody that is strong, um, in content, we tend to use. So if you have somebody that is very content, then they seem to obviously um, achieve better academically. So it would take a long time to make somebody very emotionally strong and emotionally able, but doing little things on a consistent basis, like mindfulness, like CBT strategies, will help.
So, how can educators use chi principles to encourage empathy and compassion among students?
So, going back to cognitive brain therapy strategies, one of the parts that we learn is not only about ourselves, but about other people as well. So, if we have a set of core values and beliefs, then we don't quite understand why somebody else is thinking and acts the way that they do. But if we take a moment and realize, well, their core values and beliefs are very different to the ones that we have, so their chimp or that part of their brain is very different to our part of the brain, then we develop a bit more of an understanding of it's not just the way that we see the world. Lots of different people see the world in lots of different ways.
How does chi education encourage holistic growth beyond academics?
So Our idea is completely holistic. So we try and look at every single angle that we can to try and improve that person's self-esteem, confidence, well-being before we try and push for academic success. So the idea is that that person, whatever age, is in the right frame of mind to achieve academically. And we know if your cortisol levels are high, then you're not going to be in a state of mind to learn. You're not going to be ready at all. Whereas if your dopamine and serotonin levels are high and your cortisol levels are low, you're going to be far more receptive and learn at a much quicker rate.
So, what challenges might arise when introducing chi education in traditional schools?
Yeah, I think this is a very good question as well because it's very difficult for us to get this message out, especially with our books, that it's just a nice, playful way to introduce mindfulness, to introduce these things. We are pushing for this message, and I think it's going to take a bit more time for people to understand the actual benefits of it as well. And I think in schools, the issue you have is that the idea sounds amazing, but schools across the world are under so much pressure to achieve academically that sometimes they forget to go back to the basics and see if that child is ready to learn.
Yes, for sure. So, how can teachers incorporate chi related practices into their daily routines?
So I would start with mindfulness to begin with. So take the 3 by 3 breathing technique, for example, and there's lots of other ones you can search on the internet, more fun ones, especially with younger children. But if you switch off all technology and for 2 minutes per day, it could be more, but if you start with 1 minute, 2 minutes per day, you just get children practicing that breathing technique. After a while, then you will see that the children will carry out that breathing technique on their own, especially if they're in a situation where they're very emotional. I've seen children carry this out and become much calmer, much quicker.
So, did you write a book regarding mindfulness already?
No, I haven't wrote a book yet on mindfulness. Um, I am putting together a book that is called How to Be Confident or something similar. I haven't come up with the title yet, but that's been a year-long process, and that is going to include lots of different elements that we teach children, but it'll be for adults. So trying to eradicate those limiting beliefs, try and develop strategies to calm your emotions and to be more productive as well.
Are there existing curriculums that successfully integrate chi education, and what can we learn from them?
So we were very fortunate in the first few months of starting. So I created Chi, completed the website. The NHS here, so the National Health Service, got in touch with us. They loved the idea that I was planning to do. They were developing a system called the whole school approach that was to well-being, where they would assess the school's well-being overall and see how teachers are, how children are, how parents are, lots of different elements to school, and they asked us, can we go and work in 42 schools? So in Wales here, I visited 42 schools and then over 50, I think, over the 2 years, and started implementing some of what we were doing in those schools.
So, how can parents support chi education at home for their children?
So our website is www.chieducation.co.uk, and on there, there's a little tab that says Store, and we have two books that are currently available. So it's Let's Look Through the Window and Let's Meet Die the Dragon. And very soon in 2025, there'll be a new book, which is Let's Meet the Monsters Under the Bed. And that's going to be about four different monsters who all have a mindfulness special power. So we'll have gratitude, positive affirmation, breathing techniques, and tension. So it's a nice, playful way to introduce mindfulness to your children, which will hopefully help them sleep as well.
What measurable outcomes can schools expect from implementing chi focus programs?
That is a very difficult question. I've been asked that question a few times as well. Um, because it's over such a long period of time, you should see academic success increase. But more importantly, I think it's coming from surveys and asking the pupils how they feel emotionally. So taking a survey at the beginning, working with us and looking at how we do things and taking a survey at the end. I know it's not ideal, but it's very difficult to capture data that surrounds well-being.
So, Mr. Nick, to sum up our discussion about chi education, how does understanding chi contribute to lifelong learning and personal growth beyond the classroom?
So we are currently working with teenagers. Our mental health first aid type course is going to go out very soon. And one of the key messages that we say is this is not just, it's called Stronger Minds in 14 days. But we are saying that this is not just for 14 days. You're going to have tools here that are going to last a lifetime. So I used cognitive brain therapy strategies, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. I was in a very difficult position when I was a teacher. I was in an education system I didn't believe in. My stepdad had passed away, so I was in a really bad place. Discovered cognitive brain therapy strategies, and in those 2 years, I've created a multi-award winning company, and I'm positive that it's through those cognitive brain therapy strategies that I was able to do this. So we are trying to take what I've learned and apply it in a very different way to children and teenagers.
Mr. Nick, thank you so much for sharing key education to the world. Looking forward for more innovative education that you can share to us. So, Mr. Nick, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Danielle.
More to come, people. See you soon. Thank you, Mr. Nick. You are
Thank
most
you very
welcome.
much.
You are most welcome to come back and promote your books coming.